All right. Welcome, everyone. Let me turn this a little bit down. How you doing today? Sunday. Happy Sunday, everyone. Let's see. All right. So, what I wanted to do today, as you notice, I haven't been able to finish my first video post-release regarding case study or analysis, right, on 3+1. I only done reviews, right? 3 reviews now, one of them being a live stream. Let's see. This one is the last one, right? So what I wanted to do today is because I have a lineup of videos coming up. Like I have a schedule of videos that I've been thinking on doing, and I realized that I don't have a Mari video, a Mari focus video in the lineup. So I figured because I didn't finish my video this week, why not doing a live stream in which we can discuss Mari, right? Let's see who is in the chat. Comfort Zone, welcome. Gabriel Kua, hello. Jimmy, Mari fanboy. Clocomir, welcome. Welcome all. Okay, so it's been what? More than 2 weeks now that the movie was released for everyone. So, I mean, the last movie, so we all know how the story finished, right? And we realized how important Mari was to the story. So how about we go over Mari, her appearances throughout the entire new theatrical edition. I will mention her role on Sadamoto's manga, but I will avoid talking about her and her role on anime, because I know that some people are willing to read anime and they are still catching up. So I'm not going to spoil it. Now, only mention the Mari is in anime is a spoiler, so I'm not gonna dig deeper into that. Clocomir asks, will be there any spoilers for 3+1? If not, it's good because I didn't watch it yet. There's going to be spoilers for 3+1, but at the end, because we are going to follow chronologically. So if you've seen 1, 2, and 3, you're going to be fine for a while. All right. So how about we start? Now, the reason why I wanted to do something about Mari is because I've been feeling, especially this last week, a rise on, let's say, people that don't like her very much because of the role that she had in the story, right? And of course, it all starts because she's new to this story. She's new to the Evangelion story, and the reason why Anno, one of the first reasons to Anno to conceptualize this character is because he wanted to this story feel different to the original one by adding an extra character that it was not attached to the original one, right? So that was one of the reasons why they added her to the story. Then they started to assign roles to her. The problem is that they didn't know how to develop her, right? Because they knew that Rebuild was going to be a tetralogy. There was only going to be 4 films, and they had to develop all of the characters, right? So they had 26 episodes in the original story to develop all of those characters. But now they only had 4 movies to develop them again and then add a new one. That at the end, she had an impact on it, right? Then Anno decided that she has to be in charge of destroying the story. That was her role, right? To destroy the story. The problem is that they never, in the first 3 movies, they never developed her arc, right? She appeared, as we're gonna see, right? A bunch of scenes, but she never was properly developed in the first 3 movies. Okay, so her first appearance was in the preview on the very last part of Evangelion 1. When you cannot, you are not alone. And she appeared on the preview. This was the first time that we see her in anime. We did see her on a video game before this, in Petit Diva. But she was more like a background character that appeared only if you unlock a special ending, right? So it was like an Easter egg of what it was said to come in the movies. And of course, there's no dialogue here in the preview. We are only shown to Mari, right? That's the first time we see her on anime format. Now, in the second movie, Mari starts the movie really strong. She's piloting Unit 5, right, in the Bethany base in the South Pole, which is a NERV facility. She's fighting the Third Angel, and we realize that the Third Angel it's being under containment by NERV. So they've been doing experiments to the Third Angel. That's why we see the Third Angel as a skeleton, because they've been dissecting the angel to study it. Now, there are some people that argue that the Third Angel later become the Wonder, right? I don't know about that. I'm not sure about that. If there is an official source that says that, I'm not aware of it. All I know is that the Third Angel exploded at the end of this sequence. But this moment, Mari was working for NERV, because this is a NERV facility. She was piloting even Unit 5, and she was in contact with NERV personnel. Right, this is the beginning of the second movie. She destroys the Third Angel. She also destroys Unit 5. And then she's seeing here like the explosion, the aftermath, right? At this point, Kaji, who was in the facility as well, he leaves by taking the key of Nebuchadnezzar with him. That later play out in the story again, right? Just to deliver it to Gendo Ikari. So all we know here is that Mari worked for NERV, was a pilot for Unit 5. She knows Kaji, because she was in the same base as Kaji. And she has a weird dialogue, because Kaji says something like, I hate using children for these purposes. And then Mari, in a different scene, says, I hate using adults for my purposes, or something like that. So straight out of the get-go, we are getting all these mixed signals with Mari. She has some hidden motives, right? Jimmy says, same inputs into any equation equals same output. Need Mari into equation for rebuild loops, not to end the same as the NGE. We're going to talk about that later. Legodzilla says, I think Anno didn't know what she was going to do with her, since he took what the manga did and used that, and the author of the manga said he didn't talk to Anno and came up with that story on his own. That's correct. Now, the the concept of Mari came from I forgot his name. He's one of the Evangelion producers, and Anno liked it, so he developed what he wanted to do with a new character. Right? It was an idea that was pitched, but it was barely an idea, and Anno liked the idea, and then he developed the idea. By the way, I think that's Suramaki, right? Is it Suramaki, the director? He was the one who came with the idea to put Asuka into Unit 3. So, as you can see, a lot of people put their hands on the story. It was not only Anno. Let's see. Okay, so that's how she starts. Now, Sadamoto's epilogue came after the second movie. By the second movie, when the second movie was released in 2009, I believe it was, the extra chapter of the manga was not published yet. So Mari already existed. I think that it was the same year or the year before Q that the extra chapter of the manga was published. If I'm not mistaken, it's been a while. So he used Mari, but Mari already existed. And the reason why he gave Mari that role, it was mostly for fan service. Now, the epilogue of the manga is not considered to be canon. Neither does the manga. Now I don't know, because, well, we're going to talk about the loops later when we reach to the final movie. But there's a lot of discussion regarding Mari right now going on social media. Then the next time we see Mari is coming down on a parachute, and she stumbles into Shinji. Now, many people says that Mari's role in the story was merely superficial. Like, you could take Mari out of the story and still things would have played out the same. Now, there's this notion that, and we're also going to talk about it later, that because she's a characterization of Anno's wife, Makoto, I think it's Makoto or Mayoko Anno, she kind of was on all of the scenes in which Shinji take different decisions or make important decisions. I don't know about that. I don't think that she was in every single scene in which Shinji takes a stand. And I don't believe that she was that relevant to turn Shinji into what he became. She had her role, but it wasn't more important than, for example, Reikyu or Kaoru or even Asuka and Misato. So in the second movie, she's introduced, and this is the first time she meets with Shinji. There is in the roof of Shinji's school. She's coming into Japan, infiltrated. So you start to wonder, didn't she work for NERV in the in the Bethany base? Why she's coming into Japan infiltrated? Right? Then she takes a phone call. She speaks in English in that phone call with the person who infiltrated her. Right? Then we are going to be and after this scene, of course, we get the first 27 in the SDAT, the first time in all of the Evangelion timeline. Now, the number 27, we know that the original show had 26 episodes. And when we saw the last two episodes of the original show, it shifted from 25 to 26. Now it's 27 because it is suggested that there is a disruption in the story. Right? There's no longer 26 episodes, because even with the end of Evangelion is considered to be episode 25 and 26 also. So this is the first time that we get a hint that this is a disruption to those original 26 episodes or original 24 episodes plus the end of Evangelion. This number changed again in Q when Kaoru fixed it. It goes to 28. Okay? So it's not like Mari reaches to 27 and it stays in 27 the rest of the story. And it changes again in 3+1. Now it's not that the SDAT has the it's not that the SDAT has the power to change the timeline. That's not what it means. It's just a hint that something is going on, right? Schrödinger says, yeah, there is something weird about her. I just don't know what. Okay, here we get one hint in this sequence in which she smells him for the first time. And she says, you smell like LCL, which made us, which lead us to believe that she is very familiar with the smell. Now, I've been arguing for many years, that she's addicted to the LCL. That's why she can smell it like that. Because no one else makes those remarks other than the pilots themselves, right? Like Shinji can't smell the LCL on him. But the other ones, people around them, they never make those remarks. They might smell it, but they never acknowledge it. Mari is the first one to smell the LCL in another character. So at this point, Mari is very well aware of the LCL and what it is and how it smells. Okay. Then we have the IPEA. Because who's Mari working for if it's not NERV? Right? Who's Mari working for if it's not SEAL or SELE? Well, the answer is the IPEA. Now, the IPA is the IPEA is the International Project Evangelion Agency, right? Which enforces the Vatican Treaty, which is something that never gets developed. All of this is really interesting, but it never gets developed. And this is the concept of the logo by Kuto Yamashita. Here we see an Evangelion unit with 3 eyes and 2 cores. Now, the Vatican Treaty says that no country can have more than 3 Evangelions activated at the same time, or active Evangelions at the same time. That's why EVA Unit 2 is put into containment of the IPEA while they are activating Unit 3. Right? So Yamashita has described this organization as an independent organization similar to those in the real world of the nuclear pact, right? The ones that control the nuclear weapons. Because humanity considered the Evangelion units as a war weapons of mass destruction. Now, why only 3 per country? Well, the reason is because they were 4 atoms that started the second impact, right? Now, at this point in the story, we believe that there's only 4 atoms. So that's the reason if 4 atoms can't produce a new impact, then only 3 Evangelion units can be activated at the same time to avoid the 4th. Okay, so Mari is working for IPEA. Who else is working for IPEA? Probably Kaji. Probably Kaji is a spy of this organization as well. Then, of course, we have some differences, right? So this scene, this is from the first movie. This is what they show us in the second movie. Right? There are some differences, and this one as well. Right? This is what we saw in the preview. She has a different uniform that we are later revealed in the movie. Right? And there's no crosses here, but these four towers. Now Mari here is looking at the horizon or at the sky, because at this point Asuka is chosen as the pilot of Unit 3. So we got to here. Okay, here is where we see the IPEA. Here is the Evangelion Unit 2 contained, and Mari is opening to take him out. She has the codes because she works for the IPEA. Now, this is not confirmed. This is only an assumption because she has easy access to all of this. And she was infiltrated. She never presents herself to NERV Japan, or NERV's headquarters. And of course, is the question on how she's able to synchronize with Unit 2. Now, the only time that we know that a pilot, well, it's been a couple of times, has been able to synchronize with an Evangelion that is not their own, is when Shinji in Neon Genesis Evangelion synchronized with Unit 0, and Unit 0 went berserk. Right? Here, in the second movie, Asuka is able to synchronize with Unit 3, but Unit 3 get infected by an angel, the ninth angel, but Mari is able to synchronize with Unit 2 without a problem. Now, I don't remember, I don't think it's mentioned, her synchronization rate with Unit 2, which has been part of a speculation on again Mari and Asuka relationship, right? What is Mari to Asuka exactly? Because both of them can pilot Unit 2 without problems. And you have to have a great deal of synchronization rate to turn the beast mode on. So she has high levels. Kaoru, now that I'm thinking about it, in episode 24, also synchronized with Unit 2 really high, right? His synchronization rates are really good. But it's because Kaoru is an angel, right? So it makes sense. Abdul Ghani says, would love to know how she impacted the 14 years gap period. Yeah, we're going to talk about it because I have something else to talk about the time skip. Right? So Mari takes Eva 2 out of containment. She fights the 10th angel. She gets her butt kicked by the 10th angel. So she turns Unit 2 into the beast mode. Right, the 666 beast mode. Is the 666 beast mode the one that Asuka activates in Q? This is just the beast mode, I believe it is. So basically, what she's doing is removing the containments, the shackles of Unit 2, and that's why it turns into a beast. Here in this sequence, Ray, I don't know how to call her, if Ray 2 or simply Ray. I'm just gonna call her Ray because I'm not sure in Rebuild what Ray is her. The Ray on the first two movies. So Ray pushed Unit 2 back and she lands into the bunker in which Shinji is. And this is the second time they get a direct interaction, Mari and Shinji. Now, Mari tells to Shinji if he wants to run, he must run. Because everyone will be dead anyway. So Mari takes Shinji out and show him Eva 0 destroyed and being eaten by the 10th angel, in which Shinji reacts. Now, this plays very similar in Neon Genesis Evangelion. The only difference is that no one talks to him in the bunker, but it's Kaji who talks to him in the watermelon field and convinces him to come back. So here, basically Mari is assuming what Kaji did before. There's nothing new here. Mari is replacing Kaji's role. So of course Shinji goes back to Unit 1, defeat the 10th Angel, takes a raid with him, and started a near third impact, which Kaoru stopped. Right? So at that point, Mari says, I wonder if it's because he smelled different. So it's always about smelling him, right? She's up here. And this is Unit 2 with the entry plug out. So Mari is starting to understand what Gendo is trying to do. Because she doesn't see it yet. Okay? Then, at the end of the movie, we get the preview. This is the first time that we see Evangelion Unit 8. That is going to turn into Mari's unit in the next films. Now, there's a big difference on the beast in the visor, right? It's not the 8 eyes that it has on the Rebuild Q, but it's similar to the Mark 6 visor. And the dialogue, all it says in the preview is that Unit 8 is being constructed and a pilot is selected. The pilot is Mari. So we don't know exactly what Unit 8 is, because it turned out to be a very powerful Evangelion unit also. Right? So then we have Mari. Take a look at this. The background. We have all these glyphs in the background. And Mari has an angry face here, which is not usual. Now this happened during the time skip. And it seems that she is undressed. Right? So every time we see Mari in the movies, she's very joyful. And she's happy all the time and she's telling jokes and all that. But here, she doesn't have that look. She looks very serious and almost angry. Who is she talking for? Who is she talking to in this scene? Then we have this. It says, keep out, private conference between Mari Makinami Illustrious and redacted, do not enter. So Mari had a meeting with someone during the time skip here. And they didn't want us to know who he or she was. Then we have the 3 rays, the Ayanami series, the 4 rays. Right? And look at the background. So is it possible that Mari was having a conference with Rei or the Ayanami series? Now this is an assumption, because we see the Ayanami series, the next time we see them, they are grown up. And we don't know which Rei is this one. I mean, it's logical to think there is Rei Q, but we don't know, really. Look at her eyes. They are purple and not red. So I used to believe that it was the glyphs that give her the purple eyes. Right? And the tiny rays also have purple eyes. But Mari is in the same room, on a very similar room, and she has her normal, regular eyes. Stanke says, this feels like some lesson at college. Well, thank you very much. We are all trying to learn something here. I'm taking notes, say Abdul Ghani. Gabriel Kua says, the picos not in the middle. Sorry, Gabriel, I don't understand what you tried to say. The pig us not in the middle. Comfort Zone Comics says your original was a lot easier to get along with. Mari said that. When she said that, Comfort Zone. All right, so 14 years is a long time. All of the Evangelion story, ever since Shinji is introduced, and I'm talking about Neon Genesis Evangelion, since Shinji is introduced to the end of Evangelion, I think it's a time span of 8 months or a year, something like that. Like the end of Evangelion is literally New Year's of 2015. Now I'm guessing there is a very similar time lapse between from the first movie to the second one. But then there is 14 years that are missing. That's a long time. We know some things that happened during those 14 years. 14 years. We know that this happened. We know that NERV personnel, of some of them, were put under arrest. We know that Gendo and Fuyutsuki went on the run. Now, all of this has been confirmed by official sources. All I'm saying. Why? Because Anno confirmed it. That all of the images that we see on the timescape or in the preview of the last part of the second movie did happen. So all of these, Anno just turned it canon. So let's see, what else do we have during the timescape that we see here in this preview? We had Mark 6 coming down to the Dogma that we know that happened. We see some images of Kaji and Misato. And we see also Kaoru meeting with Four Shadows, which later are recognized to be these rays, these Four Shadows. But the dialogue says that he's meeting with the four sealed children. But Rei is not a seal or a sealed children. Although you can make an argument that unit that Mark 9 is Seal's Evangelion unit, I guess. Legozilla says, I always thought the previews as not canon, just an idea of what the next movie might be. We only had 2 previews. That they are the proof, by the way, that Anno changed his mind at least twice. Because why he would choose to show a movie that he was not going to produce at the very last part of the second movie, right? And then when we reach to the preview of Reveal Q, we are gonna find out that he changed his mind again with Unit A plus 2. They never made an appearance. So we know that at least twice Anno changed his mind on how the story was going to play out. At least twice. Comfort Zone Comics says, sorry, 3 to Ray. Oh, right, yes. He said that, she says that when she's fighting Ray, right, on the Dogma. Is it? Or when she's fighting Ray? No, it's at the beginning of the film. No, I think it's at the last part. We're gonna get there. Strangler says, yes, at first I suspected that she was referring to Ray from the Cereal fight where they met. I think that the only dialogue that both of them has on the second movie is when Ray is trying to break the 80 field of the 10th Angel with the N2 mine or the N2 bomb missile, and then Mari appears trying to eat, right, the AT field, and then Ray takes her and saves her, right? Like she pushes her back and says something like, "Take care of yourself, pilot of Unit 2," or something like that. She doesn't know the name of the pilot because no one knows who the pilot is in the second movie, right? Not even Misato knows. Stranker says, but that is probably not the case since their only interaction was safe. Yeah, correct. Sorry, I went over myself. Gabriel Kua says, are they going to make another movie about the time skip? Ano has hinted that he was working on something, but he never turned into a project. And if he comes back, he's going to tell that story. Now, I don't know if they're going to do a movie. I don't know if they're going to do an OVA or they are going to do a manga. I don't know what they're going to do, but sooner or later, they're going to do something. I believe. Because they have a lot of material. Now, if it's going to be interesting to general audiences or to mass audiences, I don't know, because you already told the end of the story. So going back to a frame on the story that you might get more information, but you already know how the story is going to end, maybe it's going to be appealable for us as part of the fandom. But for general audiences, it's like, I already know how this finished. So what's the purpose? Right? Comfort Zone says, oh, you're replying to Stranker. Okay, oh my god. Yes, there is also Yui, the original. Jimmy says, in time skip, it's good time for Fuyutsuki and Mari to make plans. When we reach there, we're going to talk about that. Stuart Scott says, I think Mari may be an example of unconditional love shown by a human being. Rei and Kaoru unconditionally love Shinji, but they are angels and not human. That is the original. All of the I completely agree with. But that's the original Neon Genesis Evangelion perception or interpretation. Because all of these has been retconned by the fourth movie. We're going to talk about that when we get there. But you are correct. If you see Neon Genesis Evangelion original, Rei and Kaoru unconditional love Shinji because they are angels. They are pure, right? Especially Kaoru, because Rei had a process, right? That we are told her whole story in Neon Genesis Evangelion. Since episode 1, her first appearance until episode 23 when Rei 2 dies, and then Rei 3 in the same episode appears, and she starts getting all these images from her previous race. But in Rebuild, it's being retconned in the last movie. All right, so, which was a big letdown in my opinion. The real Kodo Sensei says now Rei loves Shinji because she's programmed to. Correct. So it's a big retcon, right? It changes the lore. So then, we're going to jump to the last movie. So anyone who hasn't seen the last movie, there's going to be heavily spoiled moving forward. It's been almost an hour since I started the stream. And if we follow the story chronologically, we get this manga. This manga was released after the last movie was released. The 3+1 in Japan was released on March the 8th. And this manga was released on June the 12th. But if we follow chronologically, this is a prequel to Evangelion Q. Evangelion 3.0 minus 120 minutes. Which means that they are going to tell us the story of the 2 hours before Operation US or US, um, in which the reveal queue starts, right? So it's the 2 hours before the beginning of the film. This manga is important because it tells us the story on who was going to be originally who led Operation Us, and that was Mari. And then Mari convinced Asuka to do it. Now, Asuka here in this illustration, she appears with a new Unit 2 block suit, especially on the sleeves. But then in the movie, she appeared with rag block suits. So it tells the story on why the rag block suits instead of the new block suit. So in that story, Asuka is still thinking on Shinji, and she is trying to convince herself that he is dead, because everybody thinks that. But Mari somehow, she thinks otherwise. She thinks that she might be alive. So Mari wears her school uniform, and Asuka asks, "Why are you wearing that?" And she says, "Because this is what I was wearing the day that I met him, and I want him to remember me." And Asuka said, and then hint to Asuka that she should do the same thing. And then Asuka says, "No, he's dead. It doesn't matter," and she goes on that spiral of deniability, let's say. But then something sparks on Asuka, and she decides to put the old block suit. And she tells to Mari that she's gonna take the lead. Now Misato came with the idea that Mari should take the lead on that mission, but at the end, between the pilots, decided that it was going to be Asuka. And that's the story. It's only 30 pages, I believe, or so. It adds to a little bit on how Asuka feels towards Shinji, her feelings towards Shinji. And Mari's role is not different of her role in 3+1, right? Trying to push Asuka and Mari to talk to each other. Asuka and Shinji to talk to each other and close the cycle, right? There's something that I didn't mention. We haven't gotten to Q. We haven't gotten to Q yet. Okay. So Q starts. For the second time in a row, Mari is in the first few minutes of the film. Now her role here is smaller than it was on the previous film. Right? In the previous film, she started fighting the fifth angel. The third angel in the Evangelion Unit 5. And now she is in EVA Unit 8 in space with Asuka. Now her role is very small in this sequence. But she's still there. I have some background noises, so sorry if that distracts you. Stuart Scott says, "Very true, man. They are quite different in the reveals in the relationship with Shinji, especially with the last movie." Glocomir says, "Miksanz, can you show the pics at the center of your monitor? It seems to be alright, but in our phones, PC and pics are showing our right corner. So it's amazing to stream." Sorry, let me see what's going on. Oh, all right. Yeah, thank you. I didn't notice this. Jeez. Why is it looking like that? me see if I'm so sorry. I wasn't aware of that. Hope this is better. Thank you very much, Clocomir, for letting me know. Legodzilla says, one of the things I didn't like about 3+1 is the retcons the movie are so hard to follow and the themes constantly change. 3 was literally called You Cannot Redo, but in 4, they redo everything. I was thinking on the movie names earlier today, but I didn't make that connection. That's true. Well, it's you can and you cannot redo. So it can be either way. But if it's you cannot redo, it's correct. Right? Now, I always thought that the name of the films were different options, right? Like an RPG. You can advance or you cannot advance. So Shinji is making options, right? He's taking decisions. And that's unlocked the next part of the quest. Right? You can redo or you cannot redo. I thought that it was working like that. After seeing Thrice Upon a Time, it makes no sense, the names of the movies. Because when we get to Thrice Upon a Time, I'm going to talk about the names of the movies because it's very misleading to the international audience. Because those names, those titles, were made to the international audience, not to the Japanese audiences. They had other names, right? Haho, Q, Repeat or End, Shin Evangelion, New Theatrical Edition. All of these are the correct translations. But for international markets was Rebuild, You Are Not Alone, You Cannot Advance, You Cannot Redo, and Thrice Upon a Time. Rodrigo Rivera says, but Rey is a Lilin. Not so is correct, call her an angel, but I don't know. I think her arc kind of proves that what you are doesn't come from your origins, but from what you live. Lilin, so, yeah. Rey is a clone between Yui, Hikari, and Lilith. So she does have some humanity. She is part Lilin, because Yui Hikari was Lilin, and she's Lilith, because she's also a clone of Lilith. So she's both. But that's, again, on Neon Genesis Evangelion. In Rebuild, the Lilin thing and all these things has been retcon. It's been retcon since the second movie, I believe, or the third movie, because Kaoru, who originally was the last or the second to last angel, that in the Genesis Evangelion, now in Rebuild, he was the first angel. But by the way, Kaoru is considered to be a clone of Adam. All right, in Neon Genesis Evangelion. But in Rebuild, there are more than one Adam. And he is the first angel. The Adams are not considered to be angels. But we are going to get there when we get to 3+1. Jimmy says, my girl Mari gets the screen time. Clocomore says, yes, like the titles too, you have not an option every time. Yeah, the international titles were so deceiving. Like, I was trying to look for clues there, but in Japan they didn't promote them as such. All right, let's move on. Let's see how it says. Whoa, What happened? Oh, I lost my screen. Let me see where. Okay. Wait a second. There you go. All right. I think it looks good. So, the second time we see her on the movie, and this is Q, she's relaxed on her Unit 8, while Mark 9 is attacking Ray Q, right? Trying to reach to Shinji. Ray Q was, right? Asuka was talking to Shinji at that point. Well, talking. She was hitting the hitting the glass and ranting for some reason, because we didn't know why she was ranting for at that point. And Mari was in her Evangelion unit. And then she engages in a fight with Mark 9. She blows Mark 9's head, the head off, but she's not able to stop her, to stop Ray Q. Then we don't see her again all the way to the end of the movie. So during the climax of the film, Mari is in a dialogue between. Sometimes she refers to Ray Q, sometimes she refers to Asuka, and sometimes she refers to Shinji. Like, she's talking to everyone in the climax. And her dialogue with Shinji is like, why didn't you save the prince and so on that? Because at this point in the story where we see Reveal Q for the first time, we don't know what they are referring to. We had some hints, right? I always believed that it was because Shinji didn't save her or save Asuka on Unit 3 incident, but it was debatable. People have many different arguments. It was proven to be correct, what I was thinking, by in 3+1. So this particular scene, and here is where all the most of the hate comes towards Mari, because there are people that literally hates her, and is that she's portrayed as a fan service girl, right? In Reveal Q, this sequence happens exactly after Kaoru's head is blown off. So his brain is still on the screen in front of Shinji, and the next sequence that we get is Mari with her guns swinging. So, of course, some people don't like that. Now, I never disliked her, but I was very concerned on her role. And at this point in the story, we had no arc. And the third movie was ending. She takes Shinji out of the unit of Unit 13, and her dialogue is something like, "Why don't you see the world and mature?" or something like that. So at this point, she is on Asuka's side, right? Like, she agrees with Asuka that Shinji needs to grow up. Now, Asuka and her, they are separated. And she's still with Wiley. And Asuka is left off on the outskirts of Tokyo 3 with Shinji and Ray Q. And then in the preview of the movie, we get this, which is EVA 8+2 that we never see, or we never saw. But we did saw the Black Moon, and we did saw what I consider this to be a different AT fields, but differently. In 3+1, they are shown like white pentagons or hexagons. Here are more traditional 80 fills. Clocomir says, for me, Mari is very important. Without her, it will be different. It will have been a different story with many, but at the same time. Not enough characters. Maybe she was missing from the start. Stranker says she also calls Eva 13 a strangle Adam, if I recall correctly. I remember that was a big lore bump for me in 3.33. Yeah, because we are only mentioned the Adams once in the first two movies, and that's in the second movie, right? In Misato's background that is being told by Kaji to Shinji. We see these four beings of light, right? Because that's what the Adams supposed to be, being of light. But we didn't know the role of the Adams, and we were only shown four. So now that I'm gonna talk spoilers about 3+1, we are revealed that there is a fifth Adam, and that's Unit 13. So I was under the impression that one of the four Adams was Unit 13. But no, there are the four Adams, and then there is Unit 13, which is the fifth Adam. There was no hint whatsoever that there were five Adams, or however, I don't know how many spears are at this point, either like 5, 6, 7, I don't know how many there are. Clocomir says, also, with her, it's more realistic. We have different units from different countries, and like I said, including more characters is not always wrong decision. The problem is that if you don't have the time to develop those characters, right? So you're going to include a character, only one character, and you are not able to develop her in 3 movies. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can have a cast of 20, but if you're not going to develop 12 of them, then why you are going to have 20? Yume Noshima, welcome to the stream. Right? And this also happens with the new NERV personnel that aren't, right? Because we have not only Aoba, Hyuga, and Maya. Now we have, how many? I'm thinking on 5 new ones, including Toji's sister. So they seem cool, but they never developed them either. So I'm hoping that if someday we have that time skip story, they are going to develop them now that Shinji is not going to be in the story. Clocomir says, that's right. And for me, that's the worst thing, that I can't know her better. Legodzilla says, well, in the original, there was different Evas from different countries, so that point is small. Yeah, it's true. Unit 3 and Unit 4 were made in the United States, and then the mass-produced Evas are made in different branches of NERV. Unit 3 was made in Nevada, in the branch in Nevada. And Unit 4 was made in the branch of Massachusetts, in Boston. No, the other way around, sorry. Unit 4 in Nevada, this is Neon Genesis Evangelion. Unit 4 in Nevada, and Unit 3 in Massachusetts, where there is another Magi there because we see it on the end of Evangelion. So Unit 3 and 4 are made in America. And that's Neon Genesis Evangelion. And the MPEs are done in different parts of the world. Non-MPE was made in Japan. So I'm assuming there is China, Germany, Russia, maybe again the United States, because the MPEs are how many? I don't remember anymore. 9 or 7, 6. Ugh, my mind. I cannot even remember that. And I just made a video about it. Okay, so now we can head into the last movie, right? Which we're gonna spend some time there because it's where she gets more character development. So Mari, for the third film in the row, she's on the beginning of the film. Now this is the party sequence. Here, she's fighting all these EVA 4 mark units. Bebop, welcome to the stream. Thank you very much for subscribing to the channel. So I think that we have 3 different EVA Mark IV versions. We have 424 or 434. I don't know. I don't remember how they mention it. Like 44A, 444B, 444C, and they have different shapes. Now, what is Mark IV is that they come from Unit 4, in my opinion, that we never see, because Unit 4 was the one that exploded in the United States on activation. But Ritsuko says that these Evangelion units are able to form a colony. Now, this is very important to remark. Ritsuko says in this sequence that Koso is taunting them, right? He's testing them. He's testing Wily. So this is just a test. What Ritsuko is trying to say, if NERV want us dead, we will be all dead. That's what she's trying to say. And if you think about it, if Gendo Ikari's purpose was going to destroy humanity, the humanity was left, like for example Village 3, you think he wouldn't have able to do it? NERV has three wonders, or basic wonders on their own, on pilot wonders. So NERV is a superpower militarily, and Wily is trying to catch up, and is always losing. If you think about it, they are always trying to stop Gendo Ikari, and they never are able to stop him. The only one that is able to stop him is Shinji. So Mari here is pushing back, right, against this attack of the Ziva units, which is funny because Ritsuko also says this is a clear violation of Vatican Treaty. What? You kidding me? At this point, you're gonna complain about that? So Mari pushes back and she defeats everyone, and that's her part on the beginning of the story, because in the first act she doesn't appear again. She doesn't appear on the village. Again, she's pushing the background. But at the end of the sequence, she says, "I'm gonna find you, Poppy Boy." Right? So we are known very early into the film that one of her motivations is to find Shinji. Oh yeah, and the jet alone, correct. So the jet alone has a reference Thank you for brought it in. Who did it? Stanker. Thank you very much for mentioning it. I completely forgot. Yeah, the jet alone is one of the replacement parts for Unit 2. So it is assumed that NERV in Europe, in France, was working on the jet alone. And that was on one of the replacement parts that was used by Unit 2. So it's a reference to the jet alone. Iba to suit was literal jet alone reference. Correct, Stanker. Stanker says, when the NERV invasion was happening. Legozilla says, okay, didn't know if you meant that it literally showed up, because I was gonna say I don't remember that. Yeah, because the jet alone in Neon Genesis Evangelion is white, right? White and red. In Rebuild, it's green. It's military green. So we go the first act of the movie without Mari. We get into the village, and then our heroes, Asuka and Shinji, are brought into the Wonder. Right? The Wonder comes in and pick them up. Then we see Mari being very sweet to Asuka, very close to Asuka, even though she's very cold to Mari, but she doesn't reject Mari. She doesn't reject Mari. She allows Mari to hug her and be close to her. Right? If Asuka was really bothered by it, she would be pushing Mari away. But she's not doing that. She's allowing Mari to do it. So there's a true bond there. Then, this is the third time, it's unbelievable, right? Or the fourth time that these two have an interaction in the whole story. The first time being on the roof, right, with a parachute. The second time when Mari was in aboard of Unit 8. The third time in Q when Mari talks to Shinji in the climax of the film. And this is the fourth time. So I don't know. By the way, Mari is here because Asuka asked her to accompany her, right? To come with her to see Shinji. So I am missing something here. Where all these feelings started on Mari towards Shinji? What's the motive of Mari on wanting to end up with Shinji? Shinji doesn't know her either, so it's a very weird relationship right here. Now, of course, we have all these fan service. And Mari says, I'm going to give you some clues, right? She puts her hands on her thighs and says, parachute, cute girl, and big breast, something like that. No, he doesn't say parachute. She doesn't say parachute. She says school, good-looking gal, or something like that. And he replies, the parachute girl. That's her answer. His answer. You're the parachute girl. Which is funny because he doesn't remember her by this. He remembers her by this. So, of course, the difference between one another is that he gets to see her directly here, and he doesn't see her here on her on other interactions. Like, this is the only time that they met eye to eye, right? And also involves a hit, right? Because Mari hits Shinji. So many people say that when you are hit by something or by someone, you remember those better than other situations, right? So yeah, this is the second time they see eye to eye. After 14 or 15 years. After 15 years, man. Jeez. Let's see what the chat is saying. Clockomy say, okay, that's too much good stuff. I love this stream, but I will come back to it later. Now I need to find or finally buy new movie. All right, Clockomy, thank you for being on the stream. Enjoy the movie. You can watch this video later. Gabriel says, man of culture. Yes, he is indeed, right? Clockomy asks, what's the point with Mari interest in Shinji? Maybe she's jealous of Rei or Asuka, or maybe she liked his smell. It's subjective because they never really developed that. That's why also there are people are angry at that. Like, they never developed Mari correctly. They gave them a very complex background, an arc and motivations. So it's very, very subjective. Everything is very subjective regarding Mari. Jimmy says, oh yeah, Shinji never forget that. Stanker says, the EVA 02 broken head motivation scene, girl. Right? I mean, he can say you are the pilot of Unit 2. Right? You were the pilot of Unit 2 that day. Godzilla says, well, to be fair, to have a girl land on your face is pretty memorable. I guess you're right. But it doesn't make a well-written character if you can even call her that. Phoebe, welcome to the stream. I don't really take Mari and Shinji ending up together as literal. She just took him from the station. Yeah, people been making arguments about that also. We're going to talk about the ending later. Glockomy says, the Godzilla, you know there is just a very good plot. So Mari's here. Asuka confesses to Shinji. She says that that bento box is the greatest thing ever that happened to her life, and she was in love with him because of that bento box. And then Mari says to Shinji something like, "You're starting to smell different, right? And good job. I'm proud of you, or you should be proud of yourself," something like that. Then Mari fights the Adams-based vessels, right? And the reason why she needs to fight the vessels is because the Adams are the gatekeepers of the Gulf Gates. Now the Gulf Gates, let me see if I have a picture of the Gulf Gates. I don't have a picture of the Gulf Gates. Let me see if I can find. Or the Gates of Gulf, depending on the translation you're watching. These are the Gulf Gates. Notice the colors, how they are different, right? So these are the near-third impact. Right? They are reddish. And this is the full impact. The color changes. Right? This is a Neo Genesis Evangelion. That, by the way, it also changed the the lore here. They retconned what the Goth Gates were in Neon Genesis Evangelion. So the Adam's role is to keep is to be at gatekeepers, basically, of the Goth Gates. So in order for you to navigate the Goth Gates, once you are in, you're into the imaginary world, the minor space, the anti-universe, whatever you want to call it. You need to be either an Adam or have an Adam power. Gendo Ikari can do it because he has the key of Nebuchadnezzar, right? He consumed the key of Nebuchadnezzar. And Mari needs to consume the 4 Adam's vessel in order to do it with Unit 8. Which means that at this point in the story, Mari, Unit 8, is as powerful as Unit 13. Or at least that's what I believe. So it leads me to believe, or leads me to the question on what exactly is Unit 8 to be so powerful, such a powerful Evangelion unit. Can any Evangelion unit consume the Adam vessels and turn into this time travel, I don't know, interdimensional machine? So she explains to Shinji. She explained it to Shinji. That's the explanation that we get. And she says to Shinji, this all takes place after she picks Shinji from the Wonder, right? That he needs to stop Gendo. And it's the only way that everything can be fixed. Because once again, Wily is being defeated. So it's Shinji who's saving the day here. And of course, in this scene, we are let known that Shinji knew that Rei was aboard Unit 1. So Mari tells Shinji, I will find you. Wait for me. Right? Then we go to the meeting with Sensei Fuyutsuki here. Fuyutsuki Sensei. Let's see what the chat is saying. Comfort Zone says, if Mari is ancient like Kaoru and she experiences the loop, it makes sense for Mari to have the hots for Shinji. Well, if she's as ancient, she wouldn't be 60. And to tell you the truth, we don't really know who was the first Kaoru, right? We are all assume that the first Kaoru is the Kaoru from Neon Genesis Evangelion. Now, regarding the loop theory, there are people that still resist. I mean, there are still people that say there is still a theory. We're going to talk more about that later. Right? That the movie didn't prove the loop. Let's see. So Mari calls Gendo-kun, right? Gendo-kun, which led us to believe that they are the same age. Gendo Ikari, by the events of 3+1, should be close to 60. So Mari should be around that. Now, if Gendo would have called her Mari Senpai, then she would be like 100. But she should be younger than Fuyutsuki, I guess. So I think she's on the between Yui's and Gendo's age. Why did Fuyutsuki just let Mari consume the other Evas freely, says Gabriel? Because my understanding is that Fuyutsuki was only helping Gendo to get into the minus zone, the minus space, right? The anti-universe. After that, Fuyutsuki had no role. And then she says, is this what you want, Yui? So it feels to me that he was trying to satisfy both Gendo and Yui. And Yui's plan, or Yui's scenario, was the one with Mari, that Mari gave at the end. That's what this sequence tells me. I might be wrong, but that's my interpretation. So at this point, Koso doesn't have a role anymore because Gendo is already by his own. So he's not useful anymore. So he says, you know what, I'm turning into LCL because I'm like really close to everything. That he turns into LCL because he doesn't have the protection that the Wonder has, right? And of course, Mari is inside an Eva when that happens. So when you're inside an Eva, you're protected according to Yamashita. If you are near an Eva or you're inside an Eva, you cannot turn into LCL like everyone else turns. That's Yamashita theory, or Yamashita's statement. So, yeah, she calls him Sensei, Fuyutsuki Sensei. And then, of course, it's revealed that Mari has another name, but it's Maria of Iscariot. Right? It's a reference to Judas Iscariot. Machu says, today I watched 2 with a friend, and I saw that when using the dummy, the word Golgotha is written in it. Yeah, the Golgotha base product. We don't see the Golgotha base, but now we know what the Golgotha is, right? Stranker says, I don't know, freaking love Mari, maybe because I am very ignorant to fan servicing, or that she is always super energetic, confident, and knowledgeable in the lore. There are many reasons why you can like the character. I like her because it's different. Different to the story. To this story, this particular story. Evangelion characters are portrayed very seriously. Mari is completely the opposite, and that's the reason why I like her. Striker says, I already read that. Mac U says she appeared on the picture. Yeah, we're gonna show you that. The fact Fuyutsuki explodes could mean that he also was a clone. I don't know about that. Never thought about it. It could mean that, because Reikyu is the other one that explodes, right? Correct. That's exactly what I think, Orlando. Fuyutsuki exploded because of the L density was high and he was not wearing any protection. Exactly. That's exactly what I think it was. So they met it. They knew each other. Right? Then we have the picture. So I never gave credit to this picture before regarding on who this woman is. And I always try to avoid that conversation because it meant nothing to me. But the way that this sequence plays out, he's talking to Mari. Mari leaves, and then he sees this picture again. And then he explodes into LCL. He just talked to Mari. And everyone in the Evangelion fandom knows this picture. The first time we saw it was on Rebuild Q 9 years ago, and it's a picture that is related to the theory that says that this woman was Asuka's mother, but also is Mari. That goes again to the theory that Mari is Asuka's mother. Now, for me, it doesn't look like Mari. She has the glasses, but that's pretty much it. So all it's left is that she's Asuka's mother. But then why they play on this sequence? Only for Yui? Only because of that? Because he was mentioning Yui. The haircut is very similar to Asuka's, now that I think about it. So, I don't know. There's something here on the way that this was cut. I think they are trying to say something. Maxus says, I find Mari very close to Kaji character-wise. Yeah, she takes some of Kaji's role in the second movie, specifically. She knows a lot about hidden things and acts as the shadow, but for the greater good. To the point that they work together. That's what I think. Gabriel Kua says Shinji teleport to Unit 1 how? Because Unit 13 took Unit 1. And there's a sequence. I didn't put it here, but there's a sequence in which Mari is navigating the anti-universe with Shinji, and Unit 13 is jumping from one place to another. And Mari says it's not going to be easy to catch him. Now, Unit 13 took Unit 1 because Gendo said to... Because we see him. We see Gendo take him from the Wonder. Now, remember, we don't know what the anti-universe is. Exactly. It's an imaginary world. That's what it is. Anything is possible. If you have the power of the atoms, you can move across, because Mari explained this. You can move, you can navigate the anti-universe. So there's none of this makes sense. None of this makes sense. But then again, you can appeal to the anti-universe. It's an imaginary world. It's an imaginary thing. No, it's how Shinji perceives him. So if Shinji perceives himself into Unit 1, then it's okay. He can be into Unit 1. And you cannot say anything against it because we don't know exactly what the anti-universe is and how it works. Because all we get as an information are 3 lines from Mari and another 8 lines from Gendo Ikari. That's it. Some people have argued that the anti-universe works as an alternative to the LCL. So if that's the case, and the anti-universe has the same limitations like the LCL has, then it's easier to understand it. But if you're not going to give the anti-universe any limitations, then none of this should make sense. It takes us to the Black Lilith, which is not actually a Lilith, but the Evangelion imaginary, right? Shinji perceives it as a Lilith, as a Black Lilith, because he saw Black Lilith, the White Lilith, the original Lilith. But that doesn't mean that the Evangelion imaginary has Lilith form. You see how subjective everything is in the anti-universe? It's just a mess. It can be whatever you want it to be. It's not very well explained. Let's see. Legozilla says, like he said early, she kind of takes over the role of some Kaji-sin. And correct, yes, I said that early. Rodrigo Olivera says, can we call Mari as Mari Sue character? If it's the power of her Evas, it will also correspond to her trait. But Mari already has like 4 names. Mac U says, maybe she was really close to Yui and has always been part of a hidden plan to stop Gendo. I do subscribe to the idea. I believe that Mari was on a scheme with Yui to fight both Seal and Gendo. Magu says, I feel really lost about Mari's past, but I also feel there is a hidden piece of the character that would enlighten all of these clues and make them fit. Maybe this is a reference, Mari being a symbol for something, someone. We're going to talk more about that later. Anti-universe is beyond fourth wall and laws of physics. It is quite a meta thing. Yeah. So what it bothers me is that in the future, they can change anything they want, appealing to the anti-universe. You know? The difference between Soryu and Shikinami? Well, because of the anti-universe. Why Mari didn't appear in the original and now appears in Rebuild? Because of the anti-universe. Why do we have 3 endings? Because of the anti-universe. Why we have a loop? Because of the anti-universe. So the anti-universe is everything. We don't have a clear explanation or its limits. It just can't retcons everything. I don't know, man. It's just like, it's very convenient, in my opinion. Creating the anti-universe is very convenient. But I'm not going to talk more about the anti-universe because that's one thing that I mean, we can spend hours here talking about the anti-universe. So then we have Gendo's background. And here we see Mari. Now this plays out very similar to the manga. It's even in black and white, as you can see. So in the manga, Mari was jealous to Yui because Yui was getting all the attention, getting all the good grades, getting everything. And I believe it's the president or the director of the dean of the campus that calls in Mari and tells her, "You've been chosen for research in England, right?" And Mari says, "You should ask Yui. Yui has better grades than I am, and she's more outstanding than I am." And the dean says that's not going to be possible because Yui was hired by a government agency. That's NERV, of course. Or Gering, right? It was Gering. So then Yui accepts. And then we have that sequence in which... Mari accepts. And then we have the sequence in the manga in which they start to relate to one another, and Mari is still a little bit I don't know how to say it, like resistant to know more about Yui. And at the end, she leaves Japan towards England. That's the end of the extra chapter of the manga. Now here, in 3+1, I like this sequence because it seems that Mari is taking the blindfold to Gendo, right? Of Gendo. I mean, this is Gendo's arm, so he himself is taking it out. But it's like Mari is at this point, she's the one that that pushes Gendo to actually see the life, the world. Right? I mean, it's very curious that they put these two together in this particular sequence, and then we know how it plays out, right? Mari introduces Koso and Yui to Gendo, and they all know each other, right? Then Yui dies and all that we know. Let's see what we got here. Orlando says, so I just went to fish up some info on the doors and the chamber of Goth. Storyboards for Neon Genesis Evangelion in particular. All right. The opens Living Palms in 26 to receive souls. And we have a very similar image on 3+1, right? Very similar, but different. I wanted to make a video about this, but I don't know how to make a video about this and don't get like a copyright strike, no, but a community guideline strike from YouTube, because Evangelion has a big part on human sexuality, but making a video about it is tricky. It's very tricky. Even I had to cut it out from my review because I had some things that I want to mention on that theme, but then it was tricky to put it in and not getting a community guideline strike from YouTube. Maku says it allows casualty to be broken. Yeah. The Godzilla says they made it because they couldn't come up with a brilliant explanation. Yeah, it's very convenient, right? Maku says, and thus allows paradox to exist. Orlando Wynn says, and the orb was in between her hands, was the chamber. You're talking about the end of Evangelion. Jimmy says, Anno made a poorly written movie, leaving us to try to figure it out. Phoebe says, honestly, as bad as it is. Oh! It moved. My chat moved. I don't see it. Where is it? Phoebe. Honestly, as bad as it is, not to explain much about Mari, I feel like she represents two of Anno's core pillars of the story telling with Eva. Then Phoebe says, you won't get all the answers, so take your own interpretation and don't be afraid by trying new things. Because that's correct. That's one of the interpretations you're going to give Mari, right? That she's the new thing. Maybe I'm wrong, but her vagueness feels deliberate. Well, they have acknowledged that they couldn't, all the way until 3, the third movie, they weren't able to develop her. So I don't know if they are happy on how they develop her in the final movie. I don't have access to that information yet. Maku says, I don't agree, Jimmy. It has been like this in Evangelion and in any kind of fiction, deeper layers. The meta thing here is clear to me. Mari is Annie's wife, and this picture of them shows her support while he worked on Evangelion. I agree a lot, Phoebe. Mari is about filling the blanks, how you like to put them. Jimmy says, Mac, this movie does not move from act to act towards resolution. It's 3 films mashed together. And then the documentary he mentions, Lego Zilla says, the difference is the original Eva resonated with so many people because you could put yourself into the character shoes, and yeah, you can see it like that. It's about Anna's wife. And many people are still not convinced by it. Now, if you take Anna's wife out of the equation, out of the analysis, Mari makes no sense. And most people that watch these movies They don't need to know about Ano's wife. It's not part of the homework. We in the fandom, we know, right, that that's a possibility. But outside the fandom, if I'm a casual viewer, I should not know about Ano's personal life to understand a character. Right? You want to understand this character? Well, you have to watch the documentary first. I mean, which movie you watch like that? Which other movie that is not named Evangelion? The Godzilla says the difference is the originator resonated with. Yeah, I already read that. Stranker says, and isn't that what makes Evangelion feel so unique? Max says, sadly, the documentary isn't available in my country, but I'm quite sure that despite this obstacle, they ended up finding a compromise like they've done better. They have done in the past multiple things without closing plot holes, and then they close the plot holes through supplementary reading material. Right? Now, for me, the most important thing on this movie was going to be Mari, to tell you the truth. Of the things that I was sure that had to happen in this movie, one of them was going to be Mari's arc. We needed something. Right? It was one of the things that... I mean, some people say that they didn't develop her properly, but again, it's because if you don't see it as Ano's interpretation of his wife, and how important his wife was to him in his life, then it's going to be very hard to understand the character. Jimmy says one thing apparently is that in the documentary is all Ano. His way or no way. Yeah, but what is a documentary? What is that documentary, Jimmy? Think about it a little bit. That documentary is just a publicity stunt. That's it. They're trying to promote the movie. They're never going to tell you the whole truth. And we are not going to know the whole truth until 3, 4, 5 years down the road. So the commentary is cool, but you have to see it like it is. Right? Rodrigo Olivera says, do you know the Mana Kirishima or spin-off from Evangelion? I wonder if Mari is in a canonical version of this character. Mana Kirishima. You mean the one that appears on the video games? Max says, well, if that's the one, Rodrigo, when they were thinking of making a character like Mari, the first character that they thought was on Mana, but then they wanted to do something completely new. So she was under consideration. Maku says, I like that it's a lot about Ano. It makes Evangelion being multiple levels. It's a story in itself, but also the story of itself and its creator. Legosila says, I agree 100% with Mila. Comfort Soul says, Ano has a wife. He actually is his second wife, I believe. Orlando Wynn says, oh yeah, YouTube will be triggered for covering this symbolism in the end of Evangelion. Yeah, that's the reason why I take so long on analyzing those videos, is because I don't know how to put them together. Oh, makes sense. All right. You agree with me, Legozilla. Good. Magus says, I haven't watched the documentary, but the IRL live about Mari Stroke Me. Jimmy says, true, that makes sense. So then we have Little Mermaid here. So Mari gets to the beach. Shinji is saved by his mother, right? Who pushes him away. So Shinji goes from the bottom to the surface, and Mari comes from the sky to the surface, right? They come from different directions. And then Mari uses her Little Mermaid mode, dropping from Unit 8, which she used to find Shinji in the anti-universe, or the minus space. And then all the Evangelions are self-destroyed, or she destroys all of the Evangelion, because all of the Evangelion has to go. That's the world that Shinji decided to have, right? That's it. In the beach sequence. And she puts herself against her old original glasses, right? She had like these glasses here that were open in the top, and they were like semi-square. But that at the beginning in the second movie, she had these different shaped glasses, right? And then we have the train station scene. Oh my god, what is this scene? I haven't made up my mind yet. I mean, for me, this is only Anno saying goodbye. Now, this is the ending of the film. She again changed glasses. Now they are more square. And I don't want this to turn into a discussion on the ending, because if not, we're not going to end. Never. This live stream is going to last forever. We're gonna be lost in the anti-universe if we start talking about the ending here. So I'm not going to refer to the ending very much. Not gonna talk about theories. Right? That's for a discussion for another day. We are never gonna end this live stream. Never. So what I'm gonna tell you here is that Mari now has the age that I'm assuming is going to be closer to 30, 28. Shinji also has that same age. She takes the choker out of him, right? After she smells him. And then they leave the train station after watching Kaoru, Rei, and Asuka on the other side of the train tracks, right? Now people have argued that they didn't end up together because they never kissed. But it's a way in which they escape reality. They escape the imaginary world into reality and all that. That's like the simplest explanation. So at the end, Shinji, maybe he doesn't end up with Mari, if you want to believe that he didn't. But Mari becomes a very important person to Shinji. I do believe that they end up with each other. At this point, well, they obviously are not married, but they are in a close relationship. That's my opinion, but it's very subjective, because again, they never kiss. Actually, Shinji doesn't kiss anyone in the new theatrical edition, I guess. She doesn't kiss Asuka either. There's a little bit of there's no romance, to tell you the truth, now that I think of, in the new theatrical edition, because not even Kaji and Misato, they kiss like they kiss on Neon Genesis Evangelion. It's weird, now that I think of. They took all the romantic scenes from Neon Genesis Evangelion. Interesting. And that's it. That's the end of the movie. Right? Let's see. Where do I leave off? JHA says Mari is the embodiment of the Evangelion reveals, which strip away the deepest emotional issues. Mari has no issues, which shows the broader range of human experiences in the reveals. Right? Mari is portrayed as a very happy, joy, a person that enjoys life. Right? But all the other characters hate life. Mako says the trade disappearing thing is about perspective, about production mistaking a mistake. Comfort Zone says very open ending. Mako says, or is it about Shinji imagining Evangelion in his head and the characters living in the train vision. If he has already visited imaginary Evangelion, he could also just have built this, Mari, and the world. They are just what he wished. That goes in line with the end of Evangelion. Legodzilla says, broader range as is everything is great. All your issues will be magically fixed. In End of Eva, Shinji asks, it is okay to be here. And there's no answer, just like real life. No one's going to tell you. How to live your life, Anos telling you that life isn't that bad. And you have people with 100% accept you. No matter your faults, it's just fiction, which was one of the points of Eva, is to escapism. That's a very, 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 very correct approach. Comfort Zone says, I prefer to stay in the fantasy world and see Mari being a puppet master to Shinji, so he doesn't cause more mess, like a prisoner. Like I said, can we expect a live stream until you cannot explain the ending? What do you mean a live stream on 2.2? Oh, you want a live stream for the ending? Yeah, we can make that in the future. I have no videos on my mind addressing the ending either, so I want to use the live streams to discuss with chat that on subjects that I don't have a video in the lineup, right? And the ending, I don't have any. And I think that the two most common videos from other content creators in YouTube right now are reviews and the ending. Reviews and the ending. Okay, so that's it. That's all I have for Mari. Now, on my opinion, the whole approach on Mari was a mistake. I think Mari should have had more screen time. I think Mari should have had a different arc. And if you are going to put Mari with Shinji, tell that story. Just tell the story. Right? Why Mari likes Shinji? Why Mari is interested in Shinji? Give us that story. You're already giving us a manga on Asuka's feelings towards Shinji. Why not do the same thing for Mari? I'm not asking you to give us a film, but at least do something like this. Make something that makes sense. Because if not, we have to piece all these pieces together, put all these pieces together, and we don't even know how old is she. So yeah, that's what I take from Mari. I mean, I like her. I don't take her very seriously, to tell you the truth. I appreciate her for what she is and what we were presented with, which is the stereotypical anime girl with her bouncy breast, joyful personality, very happy, very positive, and I appreciate it for that. I appreciate her for that. But I think she had more potential than this. She could have been giving a better arc and develop her motivations a little bit better. She's really fun to watch. Not gonna deny that. And I like her design also. Let's see what the chat is saying. Marcus, wait, where did I left? I left on the thread disappearing. Yes, we talk about that. If he already visited Imaginary Evangelion, he could also just have built this as that. We already talk about that. Magically fix, escapism. Rodrigo says, as amazing as it seems, the closest to a kiss in Rebuild for me was Rei's hug with Shinji at the end of 2. That's correct. And we get all the fan service from Asuka. Right? Therefore, the streaming sounds, I'm very glad to talk about Eva. And I agree with you about Mari. I was expecting a coherent explanation for Mari in this movie, and we didn't get that and waited the 10 years. We got some, but only clues. And that's the disappointment part, that we have to piece together. And we have to take into perspective Anno's point of view, Anno's experiences with his wife. And that's a weakness. And you can see it as something artistic. For me, it's his experimental storytelling that he's always messing with. But for such an important movie that people waited for almost 10 years, he went overboard, in my opinion. But again, I liked her. But she could have been developed better. The reason why I cannot make a video about her right now is that I don't have information to do a character profile. I don't have enough information. How can I do a video on Mari as I done videos on Misato or on Asuka? I can't. JHA, thank you very much for the sub. Now, for example, with Gendo, I can do those now that I have more information. I can do a character profile on Gendo. But I cannot do that the same with Mari because I don't have information about Mari. I don't have enough information on Mari, sadly. So that's it. Of course, I do have planned to incorporate Mari in some of my videos, because she still plays an important role. And but that character profile is not in the horizon. Comfort Zone says, in short, Mari like Gendo, but that did not work, similar to no Koso like Yui, right? So she likes Shinji because Gendo looks like Shinji with glasses. that's her motivation, right? Meg says, I think he has closed the doors that had to and left some secondary ones open, some of them on purpose, some due to production issues, some because himself had no answer. Yeah, again, and we'll go back to what we spoke earlier, that he changes his mind all the time. And we know he changed his mind at least twice. Because this is the story that he should have told on the third movie, this one. But he didn't want to make a movie without Shinji. That's the reason why of the 14 years time job, 15 years time job. Well, it's 14 years. It was a creative decision. Rodrigo says, I will find it cooler for this epilogue a scene of Shinji in his first days of college meeting Toji, Asuka, Rei, Mari, and others. They would have made a good reference to episode 26 of the classic anime. Yeah, it would have been cool. I agree. JHA says, Mari was Asuka's mom, wished back by Asuka during Third Impact. Do you think it was a wish of Asuka in the anti-universe? Nacho Rodriguez says, they gave us very little information here. They did her dirty. JHA says, Mari was the first person to get Eva disease, the Eva curse. She entered Lily's body to experiment with the interface. We know she was working on that because she was working with Koso. So my opinion, this is my opinion, right? It's very subjective. This Mari here, she's already exposed to the Eva curse at this point in the story. That's what I believe right now, given the evidence that we have. This Mari here, it has already the Eva curse. That's my opinion. It's very subjective. It can change. But right now, I do subscribe to that idea. Max says, Mari is a fertile character for interesting theory. For theories, yes. But for analysis, with information that we have, it's very scarce. Strunker says, I guess we have to make do with what we have. Legozilla says, fertile character. Kimil Kiesel says, Mari is just meta person, probably non-human entity. Well, all of the children are meta. That's why they can walk on core, right? Because at the beginning of the film, the three of them are walking on core without a protective suit. They're meta-humans. The Neon Genesis Evangelion staff was calling her female Kaoru. Yeah. Yeah, because Kaoru is also out of the picture now, right? So they retcon Rey's, that we talked about that early in the stream. The reasons why Rey liked Shinji, right? And they retcon the reasons why Kaoru liked Shinji with the Book of Life. So Rey was programmed to like Shinji, and Kaoru was because Shinji was in the Book of Life. And Mari's anti-Evangelion, yes, Kim. We talked about that on the live stream, on the last live stream. She was conceptualized as the Evangelion destroyer. She's main goal is to destroy the story. So I not find to use her like that in the story. Now I wanted something different, like 95% of people that I have spoken with. It's not what I wanted, but it's okay. It's not what I wanted, but it's okay. Now what I wanted, it's not a secret, is Shinji dead. Why didn't kill Shinji? I thought Anno was going to kill Shinji. I was sure that they were going to kill Shinji. Imagine how epic that would have been. Shinji sacrificing himself in this huge mega battle, for some reason, to save humankind, alongside Asuka and Mari. Asuka going ballistic because of his death. Also, Misato is there. Avoiding the whole impact thing, saving the world, and then having all this massive honorary funeral with all of our characters crying Shinji, right? And then use Mari as the character that would take over Shinji, right? The new leader of a new Wily, a new future for humanity. That's what I would have made. I think that would have been epic. Seeing Asuka crying for Shinji and Misato. Like, why Shinji never dies in any of the stories? Oh God. I know it's Hano, and that's the reason why he doesn't die, but come on, take a risk. You want to kill the story, kill the main character. That's what authors do. You want to kill the story, kill the main character. Don't bring a new character to kill it for you. When the character is bigger, this happens in literature all the time. When the character gets bigger than the story itself, you kill the character. That's what author has been doing for 500 years, since Shakespeare, even before that. Kill the character. Shinji about to die, but it happened. Yeah, Shinji saved her, right, Stranker? Save him. Kami says, so my personal opinion is that she is somebody to pull the string of the story from the backseat, betraying the plan of Yui and Gendo to fulfill their dream. This will contradict the message of the hope. Did you discuss the first scene between Mari and Shinji? Which first scene? This one? Yeah, we went over all the scenes that they were together. Or you mean this one? 3+1. Comfort says, oh dude, I do see Shinji and Mari being dead to all of the other characters. They are the opposite platform. Nobody acknowledged them except Kaoru, who at least faces their direction. Kami says during the crash, the Walkman goes to the screen. Yes, we talked about that earlier in the stream. Mari is the character breaking Shinji isolation Walkman scene. Yeah. So Shinji, again, referring to this. We did talk about this early. This happens after first meeting with Mari. And then the number change again on Rebuild Q when Kaoru fixes it. It goes to 28. And then it changes again with Gendo in 3+1. So she's a disruptor, right? I thought Shinji died, but was recreated better in 2 and 3. Camille says the Walkman goes to 27 during the parachute crashing, and I'm too late to this. Well, you can watch it later. Because this live stream is going to turn into a video. I've been live streaming for 2 hours and 15 minutes. So we have been talking about Mari a lot. And that's it. There's something else that you want to talk about Mari? Please be Mari. Let's not talk about other things. We talk about Mari in the new theoretical edition, right? In Rebuild. We talk about Mari in the manga. We talk about Mari in the other manga. We talk about Mari as Ano's wife. Other interpretations during the time skip that we don't know exactly what happened. That's pretty much everything that we need to talk about Mari. Oh, there's another thing that I wanted to mention. There's something about Mari that only 2 persons in the world know, according to her boys, right? So Mari's boys told to the press that Anno told her something about Mari that she's gonna take to the grave because it's a secret. So probably we're gonna learn about it next year because that's how secrets end. But there is something that Anno told only to her boys in order to for the boys to actually fit the character that no one else knows about. So there's a big secret on Mari that only two persons know. Now when we're gonna know about that, we don't know. Sooner or later. When they release like the third new limited edition of 3+1, maybe we get a pamphlet in which they mention it. Camille says, I read that. Untypical for Mari. I think the problem is Much 3 was scrapped. Rebuild Q. I think we'll get some OVA for the story between 2 and 3. I want an OVA. I agree with you in that feeling. I don't know if we're going to get it, but that's what I want. And a lot of people will be clarified. Yeah, because again, 14 years, that's a long time. A lot of things can happen in 14 years. The near third impact happening at the beginning of those 14 years, but also the third impact happened. Wily happened. Right. All right. So I'm going to end the stream right now. Thank you all very much for coming. I hope you enjoy the day with me here, talking about Mari, talking about Evangelion. As you might know, some of you know, I'm currently moving to a new place. I should do by midweek. And then I'll let you all guys know how this channel is gonna change moving forward, because now I'm gonna have more space to do channel stuff, YouTube stuff. All right. Also, if you want to join the Discord, the invitation link is for free. It's down below in the description section. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe. If you haven't liked the video, like it. It really helps me out promoting the channel and the video itself. And that's it. I hope to make a video next week. Let's see if I finish it. If I don't finish it, I will again try to replace it with another live stream, and we're gonna talk about, I don't know what, the ending. No, I don't want to make that live stream. It's gonna last forever. The live stream is gonna last forever if I have to do that. We'll see. We'll see. I also plan to do a watch party. All right. Thanks for stream. You're very welcome, Comfort Zone. Thanks for hanging out. Yes, Professor, thanks for the lesson. You're very welcome, Stranger. Anthony Williams, thank you. No, you're very welcome. Thank you for hanging out today. Right, I wish you all a great rest of your Sunday. And